no more graphic design. I grew up drawing. I could draw. I was kids at school. I was drawn to it. I was drawn to it at an early age. And so then, when I was still in my last year at school, I was 14, and Bexley Lane Secondary Modern School for Boys. I had failed the 11 plus. We have to go back to 11 years of age because I failed they determined at 11 whether you were a moron or capable of contributing to society.
Age 11, huh?
Yeah, it was called the 11 plus. So I failed that, so then I went to kind of a quasi-trade school because we had metalwork, woodwork, geometry, and geography and such. But there was also English and
Well, we back up.
hedge clipping.
Hedge
Mary makes fun of this, but I was particularly skilled with hedge clipping.
And you thought of going to the circumcision business. There's a barber. See, there's so many things you can do with
That's
those
right.
guys.
That's right.
And probably, I think
Get a pair of shears in your hand.
Look what's come
There
out in
you
that
go.
painting.
There you go. There you go.
Giant scissors, which could be a hedge. So, but
Absolutely,
how
absolutely.
did they determine? Well, and
It was-
they said, how did they determine you're a moron? And did they say, Maurice, we think you should join the Moron Tabernacle Choir?
That's right. You know, a room with, say, 45 or even close to 50, small kids of 11, mixed, boys and girls,
Yeah.
with a big clock on the wall at the end of the room and a very fierce kind of Dickensian person marching up and down, and you will start now, boom, and then you were supposed to do this. Well, of course, that didn't work for me. And I failed that. So then I went along to this school, and I was passably good with, woodwork and metalwork and a few. I was quite enjoying myself. And, I was I was reasonably happy, but it all ended at 15. But at 14, I got to know the older brother of a friend of mine who was going to the local art school, which was just like a 30-minute walk away. And so I was kind of interested in that, and he said, you could come along to Saturday morning life drawing. So I started going in, and I really looked boyish. I mean, if you can imagine, I looked very, very...
younger than your 8 years.
Oh, yeah. I probably looked, 11 when I was 15. And so I started going, and I was quite nervous, and I stuck it out. You didn't have to explain yourself. You sat on these donkeys. They were called donkeys. They had a hinged sort of easel front, and you sat astride of them.
Right.
You could sit towards the back or the middle, and you had your board, and there were models. And it was the era of the male models had to wear a black kind of a G-string.
Really?
Right? Males, but the women had nothing on, and they weren't the Hollywood porno queens. They were, through my eyes, older. They looked mature women anyway. But I really got going on it. I was stumbling. I had never done such a thing, and I had no training in it.
And there was no guidance there?
There was some guidance. But the principal at one point stepped in and found out that I was, 14 and a half.
Right.
I think that's what I was, 14 and a half. And he said, no, it's too soon for a 14 and a half year old. Come back in a year. So I literally... Then I started to work on my dad. I said, I want to go to art school. He was adamant that this was a ridiculous idea. He said, you have talent in this direction, but, you need a trade. You have to be practical. You need a trade. You should join my trade, leather work. You'll be working regularly, you'll earn a salary, and you'll become a regular person. At least the implication was you become a regular person. He was frightened that I'd become an irregular person, which of course he was absolutely justified in believing.
And was his fear of that, do you think, based on what might befall you in terms of ridicule or everything, or is it really just
Oh, no,
to
nothing
get
to-
a job? Like he wanted you to have a quote
to be
secure existence.
precisely,
Yeah, okay,
precisely.
like many
But
parents.
anyway,
Yeah.
I kind of wore him down, and he was a little bit of a softie. So, you know, he said, "Well, okay, we'll check it out." So we went to a sort of a preliminary interview. We found out about it, and then I built up a little bit of a portfolio, which was really laughable, you know. And I look back on it.
But you're 15.
Yeah, and we went along, and I got in. In. But the principal was very clever. He was very, very clever. He said to my dad, "You know, a job comes out at the end of this," none of which was true. But he said, "You know, these are skills which can be used out there in the real world." And my dad said, "Oh, okay." And so there I was, and you know,
Did your mom have any say in it? Or?
none at all. None at all.